Well, here we are, another week. Another week. Yep, another week. Time doesn't stop, even if we want it to. So, I never thought I would get to the point where I knew I was old. I never thought I would get to that point where I just knew I was old. You know you're old when you're talking about movies that younger people don't even have a clue exist. And you think they're classics. Meatballs, Caddyshack, National Lampoon's Vacation. These are movies that many of you may not even know in my audience. But they are movies that were classic, funny movies that are from the 80s. And there are people that just don't even know that they exist, which is crazy. It just does, to me, it doesn't even compute that somebody couldn't know that those things don't exist. That's just a sign that you're getting older or old or whatever you like to call it. When I hit 80, that's when I think I can call myself old. Really, I'm older now, but I'm not 80. 80 is that's a special number. You're old as dirt. And you're really old as dirt when you hit 90. I saw some stuff about William Shatner recently. That guy's old as dirt. He's 95. There's some stuff, that you just don't even understand how some of this stuff comes about. William Shatner, Captain Kirk, Starship Enterprise, right? The old TV series, Star Trek. I was talking with a friend of mine recently, about William Shatner. He was, in 1969, he was living, he had done the Star Trek TV series, but yet he was poor as dirt. His wife probably took him to the cleaners because they got a divorce, I think, either before or after he left the series, after it was complete. But he was living on Long Island out of a camper, in the bed of a pickup truck. The old style camper that you used to put in the back of a pickup truck and then bolt it in. He was living in one of those in 1969, and he had talked about how he was listening to the radio of the truck and looking up at the moon when they were doing the Apollo 11 moon mission, when they were stepping foot on the moon. That's where William Shatner was. Luckily he got some movies, not TV series, but movies after that, Star Trek the Motion Picture and Wrath of Khan and all those. I don't know how many Star Trek movies there were, but luckily he got those gigs and made a few bucks. But the guy's 95 now. Now he's starting he's starting a rock band. When you're 95, do what you want, right? But the thing is that he went through a lot of ups and downs. I don't even know how I got on that subject, but getting older doesn't mean you're dead. That's the thing. A lot of people think because you're older, you can't do anything, or you don't want to do anything, or whatever. That is not true. You know, I'm older, I'm fatter, but I'm wiser. You know, and I'm ready to deal with whatever I got to deal with. You know, that's just how it is. It's how it is. So, you only live a finite amount of time on this globe of a planet. Globe. That's right. Planet's a globe. It's not a circle. It's not a flat disc. Anybody who believes that is stupid. The Bible says that the world's a globe. Anyway, where am I? I wanted to talk about my everyday carry situation. So in my life, in my everyday carry, I have a lot of keys that I have to carry for this house and the property and going to the business where I work and you know, there's always something to haul, you know. I mean, I have an EDC pack, which is an L.L.V. I keep my coffee, my Aladdin coffee thermos in there, you know, to take with me, and it has a couple of extra pouches on the outside, and I got some patch panels that I added to it, so I could just have some fun patches on there. And this one friend of mine, he watches this channel, but he doesn't come by often enough for me. I mean, he is a busy guy, you know. I'm a good bit older than he is, but you know, he's a working guy. You know, he works his butt off. He's always dealing with stuff with his wife and his house and everything. But sometimes he does get a chance to come by. I hope he comes by soon because I haven't seen him in a while. But he's a person who changes backpacks like people change underwear, you know, practically daily. And every so often I'll see him and he'll see my everyday carry pack that I haul around here and there with coffee and whatnot in it. And he's like, "You still carrying that?" You know, I mean, you almost feel guilty. Well, I haven't bought a new pack, you know, for my EDC, you know, in about, you know, I don't know. It's been a lot of years. I mean, I took that pack to Ireland one time for a day. It was my pack for a day. I packed all my crap in it, and I was in Dublin. You know, I was there for a day, and then I went home. But anyway, yeah, this right here is an official radio pouch. Let me see if I can find the NSN number for you. It's 846501465257, and this is made by Specialty Defense Systems. Anyway, it's a radio pouch. It's got some webbing on the inside to secure quite possibly a transceiver or something else. I don't know exactly because it's a fairly new pouch, you know, and I'm kind of antiquated. But anyway, this is an M81 Woodland. You could buy these for a song. They're like $8 or $10, but they're brand new. Great pouch. It uses a fairly heavy duty material. It's at least 500 denier. Yeah. And anyway, so here's I put this patch on here, and the Velcro part that the patch goes onto, I sewed that on, you know. So it's on there, and then I just put this patch on, which is basically antenna, you know, ground and coil and an antenna. You know, this is basically just a patch that indicates that this is radio oriented gear that goes in here. You can put shortwave radio in there. You can put a regular walkie-talkie radio and some other crap. I mean, it's a pretty good size. The only drawback about this pouch is that it does not have an actual closure. I mean, so when you use it, you could just turn it over if you like. Something like that. You could. But I'm going to do a separate video where I'm going to attach this pouch to that Alice frame just to show how I attach this pouch to that frame, right? So you may do it differently, which is fine. But I've got this set up for me, and I have a viewer that has a new radio, Kato radio, and a pouch like this, and they've got an Alice pack, and so I'm gonna show how my pouch and stuff, or at least show how my pouch is attached to my Alice pack, and then of course they could do what they want, but yeah, so that will be a separate video, attaching that pouch to an Alice frame so that everybody can see how I do it, and then you can do whatever you want to do accordingly. Now, we talk about EDC stuff, and I talk about keys, so I've got keys. Here's one set. It's on this paracord. This is one set. This is a bunch of different keys. There's multi-locks and Abus and Abloy and other fun keys on there. So, and then I got this key set, which is keys to the business that I work at. As you can see, there's a crap load of keys there. So what I do is I have these keys right now. They're dummy corded inside this pouch. This pouch is a Spec Ops brand pouch. Now, I don't remember what they call it, and I've got a couple pieces of I got two paracord loops, one there and one there, so that if these poppers came undone on these straps, then I would not lose my pouch because they're directly connected to my belt. But Spec Ops brand, they do stuff really. When they sew something, it's a forever sew job. I mean, it's not going to give out on you. And they use 1000 denier material, and they do everything overkill, which is the way I like things done when it comes to anything that's a pouch or military related or anything like that, because then you ain't got to worry about it, right? So even this dummy cord loop, which is made out of some pretty thick webbing material, this loop is bar tacked. It's not just sewn, it's bar tacked in there. So you could probably attach this pouch to something and then hang off of these keys. You could probably just hang off the keys and not worry about it, because this is 1000 denier material, But anyway, this is what I've been using for keys lately, instead of just throwing them in my pocket, because it gets uncomfortable in the pocket. You know, you start getting a lot of bulky keys. You know, I've got a lot of keys here. So just throw all this crap in this pouch. It's like a utility pouch for like on a chest rig or something, or maybe on your belt kit or whatever. So, you know, and then it's got multi-scam type Velcro material sewn on the outside of the 1000 denier. So the inside you can feel there's a 1000 denier nylon material, and then they sewed additionally on top this multi-scam Velcro area, so you can put patches or whatever you want on there, but it's still multi-scam camouflage. And it might be scorpion or whatever. They kind of did some few little changes to multi-scam. I think they got scorpion 2 or something like that. Anyway, this is a patch, Middle Earth. Okay, so that's a patch with the map of Middle Earth in the background, and then you got the 9 companion shadows in front, walking along in the landscape there. Obviously Gandalf is in the lead, and then it looks like Gimli the dwarf, and then the elf, and or maybe that's Frodo. Yeah, that's Frodo, and then the elf, and then the dwarf, and then Merry and Pippin, and then you got Boromir, Sam with Bill the Pony, and then in the back end you got Aragorn in the back there. So yeah. So anyway, this is these are everyday carry keys. So this stuff is for the property, the house, and then of course I got keys for the business where I go to work a few days out of the week. And you know, and I got my car key in my pocket because I didn't want everything in there. Yeah, I wanted the car key quickly accessible, so I just keep that in my pocket. I mean, it's one key on the key ring, and that's all there is to it. So I had purchased this bag. I didn't know how big this thing was. This is also a Spec Ops bag. Now, I think they called this the Rat Pack, or the Pack Rat. Pack Rat. That's what they call it, Pack Rat. So this is a pouch, and there's a mesh cover there, some Velcro to close it, and anyway, so Pack Rat. It's very well constructed, just as you would expect from Spec Ops brand, because they are overkill on everything. I like overkill. I do not like anything that's just adequate. I like things that are overkill. Overkill. Can I say that again? Overkill. I like things that are made overkill. Not just adequate, overkill. Okay, I'll stop saying it. So anyway, Pack Rat. So, you know, the thing is it's basically, it's an organizer, right? Pretty good size. It's got all kinds of pockets for every doodad you can think of in here. I sewed a piece of paracord on it under here so that I could, you know, girth hitch things to secure them. You know, very important things like keys or whatnot if I needed to. And there's this length of webbing in here. This did have a a hook of some sort on here. Not made of plastic, but made of some of that like somewhat bendable plastic, you know. And anyways, I took it and I cut it off because I don't like plastic things like that. If I want something, I want it metal, you know, like aircraft aluminum or something. I put this little ring of paracord on here. You know, if I need to attach something that needs to go on a lanyard in here. But then I did extra sewing on this connection. I use that Coates upholstery thread. You know, that stuff is. You get a few passes of Coates upholstery thread. Man, forget it. You might as well. You'd be pulling until the cows come home. You won't break that stuff. If you get several passes, it ain't coming undone ever. Not ever. I've had stuff that I sewed that I sewed for a serious strength, you know, with Coates upholstery thread, made several passes on it, and, you know, never come apart in years, you know, years. You know, some of that stuff that I'd sewn, you know, went through some stuff, let me tell you, and it's still there. Alright, Coates upholstery thread. Now, this is a Spec Ops brand pouch, made in USA. That's Spec Ops brand. They make all their crap right here in the United States. It's 1,000 denier. And anyway, this particular pouch, you can see it's not actually designed to be worn on a belt. This pouch does not have Pals Molly set up on it, and it does not have belt loops on it, so I was kind of surprised about that when I got it. So that was a little bit of a hey, you're gonna have to improvise something moment. So what I did was this has a 1-inch webbing. It's bar tack sewn there, and then it's bar tack sewn up in this area, and then there's a D-ring for a shoulder strap on each side. But it's the same. It's bar tack there, and it's got a couple bar tacks there, and then you got this extra, you know, so it's one piece all around. That's one piece. Pack rat, I think, is what they called this. But what I did to remedy this, I had initially used this as an EDC type bag for about a week, and then I decided that's just too big. But anyway, all I did was, you know, see, the thing is, this is the reason why paracord is so indispensable. You know, you got to secure something, you could figure it out pretty quick with paracord. You know, parachute cord is God's gift to the military. You know, I mean, the thing is, this stuff is so useful. There's a place on here, they got a bar tack here. There's bar tack there, and that keeps that D-ring in place. So what I did is I just took this parachute cord and I just ran it there and back through there and put an overhand knot. I did it with 2 exact lengths of paracord, and now these are belt loops. You know, I mean, you could put this on a rucksack if you wanted, do whatever you want to do with it. But you know, it's pretty much designed for a shoulder bag type carry, because you could tell with these D-rings and this size. I didn't know it was going to be this big when I got it a while back. But it's okay. It's another pouch. You know, you got to be ready to recycle pouches and use them for this and use them for that. You know, if it ain't useful for something, it's useful for something else. All right. Now this pouch is a pouch I got 2-3 years ago. This is a Maxpedition pouch. They had these on sale. Unfortunately, it's made in Vietnam, but you know, it's better than being made in China. It is 1,000 denier. Everybody knows Maxpedition is very meticulous with their quality, and if something's made in Vietnam, those manufacturers are really, really good there. They're really good. Vietnam is one of the very best places in Asia to get things built. Really. You know, you just got to have a quality manager to keep on top of stuff like anybody else anywhere else. But this was their F1 pouch. Maxpedition F1 pouch. And it's set up more or less as a medical pouch, but you could use it for just about anything. And I'm considering using this as an EDC pouch. I did have this pouch on a belt kit for medical originally. Now this comes with D-rings, just like that Spec Ops, where you could have a shoulder sling if you wanted. It has a grab handle here with textured material sewn into it so that you have a good purchase even if it's wet. See, these types of things are very, very, these types of details to me are like, you know, hey, that's thinking ahead. That's thinking with your brain, you know. Right now I've got a tiger stripe American flag on there on that patch. There's a patch panel there, a small patch panel, which is integrated with the pouch. There was some cordage X'd through here, made of bungee cord. There was that. I took it out because I didn't need it. Anyway, so I got this set up on the back with a couple of Pals Molly straps, right? So I got it set up to where I could just throw it on a belt. So I got these two, they're this area up here is open for a belt. The strap goes underneath on both sides, and is, you know, then there's the popper there at the end. So, you know, just to keep from that coming undone, I just electrical tape both of them. Take the crap out of each one, and it won't accidentally come unbuttoned, right? So this may be an EDC at some point, to do away with that one as an EDC, to put keys in, phone, and etc. Right? It might do for that. Because in here you have a zipper section that you can put a phone in there. If you're not going to be using your phone all day, you know, put it in something like that where it's not going to go missing. And you want to face the face of the phone away from you, because that emits RF, right? That emits RF. You don't want that. Turn the timer back on. There it is. So yeah, I dug this out. I had this F1 pouch on another belt kit at one time. Yeah, so I think I will try this one for a little while. The other one was just too dang big, too cumbersome. This other one here, it's nice, but it's a little bit small because I would like to put the phone in the pack, a EDC pouch as well. But the phone, if I take all the keys out of here, the phone will just barely fit lengthwise in there. The phone will barely fit lengthwise, so that's just another thing. I mean, it is what it is. Nothing's ever going to be perfect. You just got to try to make it as close to perfect as you can, and then go with it. Guys have to improvise. We're not like women who, they might have a huge purse with them. You'd think they were going to the beach. I've seen some of these women that have purses that are just so huge. And I'm like, you like lugging all that crap around all the time? I mean, you don't need half that stuff. You don't need like 10 packets of snot rags to wipe your nose or whatnot. I mean, women carry a lot of useless crap. But, whatever, to each their own, whatever they want to carry, right? I mean, some of these things might seem kind of useless to you, but, I mean, I try to carry the minimum. The minimum. It's not always possible. Sometimes it gets a little bit tough. Supposed to get some rain today. Will we get it? I don't know. I don't trust the rain anyway. Don't know what's in it anymore. Just like the snow. Used to be when I was a young person, you could trust the snow. It was just snow. There was none of this climate change BS. They're spraying stuff in the clouds. It's true. It's not a theory. It's true. Harvard had a climate science program or something like that. Harvard University. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, there's no such thing as climate change. Well, there is climate change, but the problem is that it's not natural climate change. They have been messing with the climate for years, and then once Trump got in office the second time, he defunded a bunch of the stuff, and it's been less of a problem. It's been less of a problem, but I still don't trust the atmosphere anymore. It's terrible to say stuff like this, that you can't trust the government anymore. You can't trust what they're doing anymore. And then you got Looney Tunes funded programs from Harvard and whoever doing stuff that affects other people. Should be illegal. If you're doing stuff, you should have to have consent of the people to do it. You shouldn't be able to just do it and then everybody else, has to deal with the repercussions of your idiotic program, right? I mean, recently there were all these fires in Canada. I mean, they could be still going on. I don't watch Telepoison anymore, but the sky was orangish yellow because we were getting all this smoke here in New England from Canada, and I mean, And then they say, oh, it's climate change. It's climate change. It's not climate change. Somebody set fire and made those fires. Somebody made those fires. I'm saying it. And it's not a conspiracy theory. Those fires didn't just ignite on their own. I guarantee you, there is no place in Canada dry enough for there to be self-combustible forests. No. You know, it takes the ignition point on wood, on average. I mean, it could be slightly different from wood type to wood type, but on average, on dry wood, dry dead wood, the ignition flash point is 400 degrees Fahrenheit. And I danged well guarantee you that there's no place in Canada, or any other place for that matter, that you're going to have wood self-combusting. It's not going to happen. No, it is not. Not. N-O-T, not. You know, and I'm tired of stupid people claiming about climate change because it's fake. Climate change is a hoax. Don't buy into it. Don't buy into the hoax that the moon landings were fake, because they actually happened. Don't buy into the earth being flat, because, you know, all of these things are things that stupid people promote. Stupid. Stupid. S-T-U-P-I-D. Can you spell stupid? I can. So, you know, the thing is that if you're going to push something that's real. You know, I mean, over 400,000 people were involved in the space program from around the world. And then the Russians had spies keeping an eye on everything. Do you think the Russians are going to let anything slide? It's a matter of national pride, right? Do you really think that the Russians are going to let the Americans, you know, slide with hoaxing the moon landings? Oh, no. Stupidity. You know, this is the problem. As we go further and further, you know, into the future, so many people get dumber and dumber. Dumber and dumber. MIT was a big part of the Apollo program. Big part. Big. MIT did a lot of things for the NASA Apollo space program. That's right. They certainly did. You know, you got engineers that came up with the, you know, the way to, you know, put spacecraft in orbit around the moon and bring it back and use slingshot effects and things like that. I mean, wake up. World needs a wake-up call. Stupid people need to be they need to get off the internet. Too dumb for the internet. There used to be a meme picture of that guy from Super Troopers, the movie. He was giving a ticket to a guy. He's got this big smile and he says, I'm giving you a ticket because you're too dumb for the internet, or something like that. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of that nonsense, let me tell you. A lot of people are too dumb for the internet. We just gotta... We just have to deal with them. It's hard. Life is hard. It's harder when you're stupid. Got too many stupid people in this country, in this world. Too many stupid people. You know, guys. Some of these guys and gals out here in the world, they need to like get a clue. And I'm not saying that out of meanness. I just don't understand how we got so many dumb people in this latest group. You know, people used to be on average pretty smart a long time ago. Oh yeah, I feel that my IQ has jumped several points over the average person from decades ago. And you know, I have a pretty good IQ. You know, I've had it measured by Mensa before and by a couple of different universities. You know, and it's Mensa. Mensa was 154. 154 was my IQ according to Mensa on the actual test, because they administer it. Has to be administered by, you know, a psychiatrist, psychologist, you know, official. Has to be administered. But, you know, my IQ was done when I was young. My parents had my IQ tested. That they said, oh, it was 160 plus. And I was like, is that good? And they were like, yeah, that's good. And it was a weird test. That test was very weird, but I don't think it was real accurate. I really don't, because it had stuff in there from, you know, that talked about things from different books. I mean, how does that have anything to do with somebody's intelligence, right? And then I had another test from another university that was administered to me, and that one was tough. I think I got 146 out of a possible 150 on that one. But the thing is that there is a lot of spatial reasoning and all that stuff. You know, how many blocks are in this stack of blocks? You know, and other things. You know, I mean that was pretty good. It was tough. But I mean, some days I wonder how people get through life. You know, you encounter some people, they're just not. No. Yeah, that's why they got. That's why they got cameras in cars and other stupid crap like that. I would never put up with something like that. I saw a video recently of a woman complaining about some Big Brother camera in her rental car from, you know, some place that she was having her actual car worked on. They gave her a loaner car, but it had a Big Brother camera in the car to look at her while she's driving and using the car. I mean, I'll tell you what, duct tape would have come out immediately with me if I didn't just somehow unplug it and hand it back to him after, you know, after I brought the vehicle back. I'm tired of all this Big Brother stuff and, you know, this flock camera stuff, you know. Tear them down. Tear them down. They're a violation of the Fourth Amendment. That's already been, you know, brought up by, you know, like the Electronic Frontier Foundation or whatever it's called. You know, that it's a violation of the Fourth Amendment, flock cameras. You know, we need to get rid of them. They're paid for by the U.S. People. You know, the people pay. They take they take it out of the tax money that's stolen from you, and then the government buys these cameras from Flock, and then uses them against you. Tear them down. That's what I say. Tear them down. There's no flock cameras in my area. And if there ever is a flock camera in my area, it'll probably disappear. That's right. Because we need to get rid of that crap. It's all over the U.S. Go to deflock.org, I believe it is. You can find a map of flock cameras there. I don't care if they make an excuse that it's used to nab criminals or what. I don't care what their excuse is. There's no excuse for violating my Fourth Amendment. That's right. None. Zero. Rip them all down. Rip them all down. Yep. Deflock. Flock. Alright. Catch you guys later. Have a good one.